Well, hello everyone. This was a very short one for myriad of reasons. Mostly because the computer's going to die quite quite soon, and because I wanted to make this as a prelude to a larger talk on elementals and as you could notice in the title, allotropes and other different scientific words which we'd like to simplify. And man, even Merriam-Webster, the way they define carbon, I thought was so curious. That was very funny. Uh, Yeah, I will. I'll just put it. Maybe this will be like a. You'll be so interested in what I might talk about that you'll go look up these words and look up these ideas, so I don't have to explain it. Isn't that the best way to teach? Put somebody on a tiny little journey that they can dig in themselves, because when a teacher tells you what it is, you don't really pay attention. But if you have to go look it up yourself, it's a little more interesting. I'm not suggesting in any way I'm a teacher. I'm just suggesting that when it comes to retaining information, if you go about absorbing it on your own, you might uh, find it like that it will just dig its way into your head and kind of sit there as something, as a as a catalyst. And it's kind of like all you need for water. If you have distilled water and if you want it to freeze, all you need to do is put one element in there and it'll become frozen. Distilled water really doesn't freeze. There might be a temperature it does, but distilled water by itself does not freeze at what you'd call 0 degrees Celsius or 32 degrees Fahrenheit. See, so people say water freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit, but it does not. Water, in and of itself, does not. That's very easy to research. So if you look up what allotropes are and look up some elements, and then you start to decipher and decode, like, I mean, you got to even get into like the dictionary and how it was very interesting, because I never thought to dive into the Webster's dictionary to figure out what the word carbon meant, but it was one of the most confusing things that I'd ever read. Almost as if the person writing it or trying to explain it either didn't know or was trying to purposely confuse people. I was like, can I find a very simple definition of what carbon is? And it hasn't been accomplished. In fact, it's kind of like when you use a dictionary, you can't use the word to describe itself. I don't know if anybody remembers this from going through the the elementary school systems. Oh, the element school systems, right? Yeah. Maybe there should be 4 grades. It should be 4 grades, air, fire, earth, and water, rather than the elementary school system, which usually puts you into 6 of them, which is confusing. But whatever. But do you remember how they used to tell you that you can't use within a dictionary, you can't use a word to describe itself? But they used all of these very interesting words to try to describe what carbon is, and it almost seemed near impossible, as if it wasn't actually a thing, but a processes. Huh. But who knows? So I don't have much but a few percentages of charge on here, and I've already made enough videos where I doubt anybody will jump on here at this point. Anyways, enough videos this evening. But if anybody does jump on here, I'll stick around for a few minutes. I know no one can hear me right now, maybe telekinetically, and I want to do this video on this word. It's called Let me see if I can remember what it is. It's a gland that most people don't even know exists, and it's a gland that's in the nose. It's how animals have a certain kind of sixth sense or something. That was very interesting. I started this video, I had 4 thumbs up, and I just started talking, and they all just vanished. There was literally it just went, like I started the video, there's 4 thumbs up, and then it just vanished. As if the thumbs up were never there, or all these, there might be people in the background, Zen, we're here, and I don't even see it. It's so funny. Oh, the computer systems, aren't they funny? Yeah, where was I going? I was gonna read some poems out of Hermann Hesse's first and only collection that's ever been done in English. And the smell of the book is, it's much like those little bookstores that still exist from time to time in tiny little places that have, they're usually in college towns, and I don't know, college kids are too busy reading what they have to for school, so I don't even know why these little bookshops exist. But I think in tiny towns would be a better spot to find good old books that have this aroma. And it's connected to the word that I want to tell you guys. And it's just not, it's not right there on the tip of my brain, but it's if you ever watch a horse or a dog even, or certain animals, when they sniff, they kind of lift their lip up, and they pucker their nose, and they do this really interesting thing to find a way to. It's almost like they're looking for something. The way you know when you look at something and you squint your eyes and you're really trying to focus. It's what a dog does. It's what a horse does. It's what a bunch of, like, most animals do. I would say the majority of them, we just don't have. Like, you get into lions and tigers and probably camels and all of these things too. But there's a certain gland in there that it seems like what they're doing is they're opening the gland up so they can smell to a higher degree than other people can, or other, like that they would, moment to moment, they don't really need to smell that. It's very interesting to me because I've always had a very keen sense of smell. That, like, oh man, the aroma of things to me is it's a word I can't even pronounce, because it's absurd. It's not obscene like in a bad way. It's a lot. It's taken energy through a portal. Like for me, the smell of something is just, it's the most, you can't trick the smell. Shit is shit. You can trick the eyes, you can trick the ears, you can trick a lot of things, but you can't really trick the smell. So this hopefully has been a fun lead-in to maybe tomorrow, maybe Monday, we'll see, to this lesson. Well, it's not a lesson, it's a Morrison. It's more sun, huh? It's more idea on the elementals and the allotropes and allegories of what is. There's an isness to things. The isness it seems to be the elements, and the elements are connected to the L's, the Elohims, the angels, the angles, the fractions of things. And there seems to be either 4 or 5, 3, 4, or 5. And this is the last talk I was doing. In most cultures, there's 3, 4, or 5 major angles within the way that they observe the world. And those angles tend to be, most people are familiar with air, fire, earth, and water. And then sometimes they provide you with the aether, or the ether, however you like to say that. And other ones will use the metallics. yeah, it's just the way they chop up what seems to be, you'd say the physical world, but is air part of the physical world? This is why a lot of people get confused between air and ether or aether. This is why you can find the three, because the backdrop or the air or the aether or the emptiness is the same thing. You could get into the most basic, which would be the two, the yin and the yang, which would be emptiness and solid. That would be the basics. That's the two. The one is everything, and then you can't just say everything is all one, because you need a backdrop to even observe it. So then you get the yin and the yang, or the yin and the yang, and that would be the two. But that gets becomes very much a diversion, or a split of something. So usually you start with 3, 4, or 5 is the divisions, and then we'll try to. So you say, so even in there I say try, which is 3. So you say try. So people try to do something. It's like an attempt. Why is everybody? 3 is a much more balanced system than buying is. Why would you buy something? If you buy something, that's 2, right? Buy is 2, try is 3. So if you buy something, it's right and wrong, it's left and right, it's his and hers, it's rah, rah, right? It's back and forth. But try has a balance to it. That's where you get the triangle from. So the most basic system, as you came out of the oneness, you got into the black and white, which is the checkerboard, or the yin and the yang, and then you got into the tri system, which you go from the bi-bull to the tri-bull, the tribal system, and then then if you look at it from another standpoint, you have the 4 corners of they always say the 4 corners. Why do they tell you the 4 corners of the earth? Even people that believe in the globe model, even the people that speak about this say, well, we go to the 4 corners of the earth. Seems like they're talking about something else. That people just don't say the 4 corners of the earth. You don't get that in common language. And you can probably find this in more than just English. This is the 4 corners of the earth. You don't say that unless you believe. You don't get 4 corners on a ball, can you? But yet we find that. So there's your air, fire, earth, and water. And then you get to the 5th dimension, which would be the etheric realms. And thanks for showing up. This is almost to the end of the charge on this computer, so I'm going to keep talking until, for the 4th time today, the computer is going to die on me talking, because the charge in the wall isn't enough to keep the computer on long enough. No, I just didn't charge this one, and my phone is. I need a new battery for my phone. So if anybody wants to donate to a cause of not having me do 6 videos over the course of an hour and a half, because I got to go find a charge, feel free to donate a few ducats so I can get a new battery for my phone. And y'all know how to do that. And if you don't, well, there's enough videos out there you can figure out how to do it. So let me see who's in here. What's going on? Who's in here? What's up, Syphil? Yeah, hey, Syphil, we'll do the DMT and timelines later. And what's up, Burkay Turkman? The fulcrum point duality. Yeah, we could do that. Yeah, like I said, man, this is always these things. Yeah, these things I've talked about a lot, and right now it's towards the end of the charge on this, so I can't really do it right now because that's going to go really far. Why corners? Because corners are connected to corners. Corners are 90-degree angles. There's no corners in nature. Corners are where you take a dead body. It's death. Corners are corners, and that's why they're sharp angles. And I mean that's the initial 4. That's why you have a block. It's called a B lock or a C lock. So on the block, You have a coroner, and that's what puts you in a clock. Like that's how you clock something. Or you could have even a Glock, or how you get shot on the corner with the G-lock, with the Glock. So these letters in front of the lock have something to do with things too. I know I took you in a little different direction there, but yeah, you hear that? You can just put a letter in front of lock and you'll see something. You can even call it locks of hair. You can call it the locks, like dam. The dams are called locks too. There's locks in a dam where it's like withholding water. There's a lot of interesting things going on there. Yeah, I would really like to dig into this right now, but I just don't have the charge in this computer right now, and I need to charge my phone. So I'll see how much. What do I got? I got 3% left. You guys get me till this shit burns out. You guys got me for a few more minutes. So Burke, the fulcrum point of duality. What is that? It seems to be like, that, if I'm making it a very simple way, isn't it the point where you're kind of sitting there staring at a wall and your mind goes blank? Isn't that the point of, like, you'd call it hyperposition or superposition possibly, where it's not quite on, it's not quite off. It's called the maybe. It's like maybe possibly. It's not a yes, it's not a no. That's the triangulation, or it would be called a trinary system on the computer rather than a binary system. So there's the quick answer. And as I'm going to just open this Hermann Hesse book up to one page. I'm going to flip this upside down and scroll through here until I get to this one right here. And here's the poem I read. It's called Mountains at Night. The lake has died down. The reed, black in its sleep, whispers in a dream, expanding immensely into the countryside. The mountains loom outspread. They are not resting. They breathe deeply and hold themselves, pressed tightly to one another, deeply breathing, laden with mute forces, caught in a wasting passion. Hermann Hesse. So you have a beautiful night. We'll talk very soon, probably tomorrow. Bong bong, motherfuckers.